It's the Ronald Show.
It's the Ronald Show.
Documenting the collapse of life as we know it is perpetrated by the global military-industrial
Documenting the collapse of life as we know it as perpetrated by the global military-industrial
and teaching you to be a creditor
in commerce. And now the host of the Ronald Show, Ronald.
What if a government intelligence analyst from the Pentagon is forced to save mankind from extinction and the world from destruction, but first he must evolve into the Messiah and create the plan to save the world? The 21st century Messiah arrives, battles dark forces, and sparks the Armageddon that leads to the apocalypse, rapture, the 2012 pole shift, and extraterrestrial contact. Buy the book today by Ronald Farnham at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The Second Coming of the Messiah, Book 1, The Awakening.
Hello, my name is Aaron Weiss, and I live in the town of Poughkeepsie. I'm a combat veteran of Iraq, and I'm also a law enforcement officer. I attended the Public Safety Committee's last meeting in regards to this resolution, but I didn't say anything because I wanted to hear what everyone else had to say. And I heard some shocking things from some people and some legislators. They said that it took a lot of courage to pass this SAFE Act. Apparently my definition of courage differs from yours. You see, if it was really so courageous a bill and it took so much courage to pass it, then why was it done in the middle of the night when no one could see it or read it? That's not courage. That's a mafia-style sit-down to divvy up what's good for the bosses. Courage is taking the right and true course of action, not the politically expedient one. And anyone who is proud of this law must also be proud of the Patriot Act, the TSA, imprisoning Japanese citizens in World War II, since all these actions were spurred on by emotional fear and rammed through in the name of public safety. Another issue is the insistence of certain people to stand on the graves of dead children and challenge those that disagree to say it to the parents' faces. Well, I, for one, will pick up that gauntlet. First off, why is dead children your battle cry? You didn't say anything about the hundreds of Chicago children being killed, and for some reason you only scream when it happens to wealthy white ones. And yes, I will say to anyone's face, my right is more important than your dead, because I fought for it firsthand. I washed the blood of my friends out of my Humvee, and I picked up their mangled bodies, and I fought day in and day out. I did more things that you people can't imagine. So yeah, my right trumps your dead. I earned it in blood. I gave up a lot for this country, including my youth, and better men than me gave up a whole lot more, so that all you, myself included, could enjoy the rights that are guaranteed to us in our Constitution and Bill of Rights. And we didn't go through all that to come back home and watch the surrender of what we fought for happen based on the demented actions of a couple madmen. So in closing, I would like to address specifically the legislators we all know who are going to vote against this resolution. I understand you will vote against this resolution based on some misguided sense of the public good. However, as a law enforcement officer, I'm curious to know about your true resolve. Since voting to take away someone's rights is totally different than being asked to enforce it, I want you to consider this. If you support the SAFE Act so wholeheartedly, are you willing to stand with law enforcement members and lead from the front to enforcement? And what I mean by that is if a constituent of yours feels so alienated by this law and the manner in which it was passed that they refuse to comply with it, are you willing to stack up on their front door and go in first? I bet if a clause was in this bill that required you, the elected leadership, our elected leaders, to go in the door first, I bet you would not be so steadfast.
Have you ever wanted to write a book Have you ever wanted to write a screenplay? Have you ever wanted to have your great movie idea turned into a screenplay, turned into a movie, turned into a book, and distributed all over the world? Well, now you can learn how to do it with the great new book by Ronald, How to Write a Screenplay in 30 Days or Less. It includes the logline, theme, synopsis, outline, and screenplay of the 3 magic questions. Learn how to write a screenplay in 30 days or less, or your money back. Get it today at Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
I stand as myself and speak for myself in myself. And I am not the trustee over the all caps name that you're operating on.
But you're here in court today because you were charged with some charges.
I'm here in court today because I am making a special visitation. This is not an appearance, only spirits appear. Living men, living persons make special visitation. That's why I'm here, to make sure that you guys don't tainter my truthful, proper name.
Do you still live at 28 Flying Eagle in Manhattan?
That is a storage unit that I sleep in from time to time.
All right.
I live in myself in this body. I am the living man.
Mr. Talgate, you were here. You were seen by Mr. Putz on 9/3/13, and you asked, at that time he appointed you a public defender. Did you apply for the public defender?
What use have I for a voice of ruin? They can only speak
That's your
fictitious
choice.
legalese to you. I speak natural living man's English to you. It's called common English. That's the only thing that I work in.
That's fine.
There will be no legalese used here.
Well, you were charged on the 31st of August of 2013 with obstructing a police officer in violation of 45-7302. You were also charged on the same date with resisting arrest in violation of 45-7301 of the Montana Code.
Those men were charged by me right back by staging an overthrow of the Constitution of 1789, an overthrow of the Bill of Rights, an overthrow of my rights to forage for food as a natural living person who was in hunger. I was searching for something to put in my stomach, as I am recognized to be allowed to do by universal law. Has nothing to do with your corporate fiction. They violated everything, and furthermore, for your knowledge, they violated Judge Holly Brown's Title 26 United States Code ruling, which I went before her and prevailed on 21st March 2011. EPO 9-58A is the case number wherein she evidenced that I am not a taxpayer because I am not a federal citizen. Federal law trumps state law at every turn. I have 9 judge rulings to that end, and that trumps state law. I am not registered crap. I am the living man, and I have the right to forage for food when I'm hungry.
All right. But you're here on different charges.
This
is not
what
Holly
stands.
Brown's courtroom.
Ma'am, you can argue this all day long. You're operating on a corporate fiction.
I'm telling you, you're here on some charges which were filed in 3 courts.
I do not
Number
understand
one.
those charges.
Number one, you keep interrupting me, and I'm going to charge you with contempt, and you'll go to
All
jail.
contempt of court is spelled C-O-double-N. I know about conning. That's navigation.
Sir,
Contempt is the storm.
I said, be
Don't
quiet
touch me.
until I get
Don't
through
touch
reading
me.
this
You
to
ain't a
you.
gun. Don't
Officer?
you touch me. I am the living man protected by universal law.
You keep
Stand
talking,
down.
and you're going to be charged with contempt, and you're going to go to jail.
You have already contempted this place.
No, I told
by
you
the
I
fraud
would if
you're
you
trying
didn't
to
quit
get done
talking.
here. These are the living witnesses to what you're trying to do.
Very
You
good.
are trying to create a fictitious, fraudulent action. You are trying to bilk the Federal Reserve by
Sir.
securitizing in all caps commercialized name
Sir.
and
Would
notifying
you
them
remove him from the
that
courtroom?
they are standing in debt now. If you touch me, you will violate natural law. Do not come near me. I am
Then
protected
shush,
by the land.
shush.
Do not tell me to shut up. I am the living natural man, and my voice will be heard. That is the Jolly Roger. That thing you call the American flag with the gold fringe around it is the Jolly Roger, and you are acting as one of its privateers.
Okay, you're here on the charge of arrest.
I'm
resisting
here by
arrest.
special visitation.
Right. And
I've
here
never
on
let you get away with
obstructing
this.
a
You bet
police
I'm here.
officer. To each charge, could be up to a $500 fine, up to 6 months in jail.
I do not understand any charges. I only understand universal law and the right to live.
Well, you
To
pled
live at
not
peace
guilty.
and to live as I need to.
You pled not guilty in this
I
court.
never plead. Animals plead. Sound like bah, oink oink.
I have a paper with your signature on it, sir.
It says prime evidence standing right through it. You bring forward all natural
Right.
forms of evidence that I'm not prime evidence. I am the living soil. The dirt, the water, and the air has its own voice, does it not? It all supports
Sir?
forms of life, does it not? I am a part of that life. I am not your corporate fiction.
Sir,
Do not danger me.
you're here today on an omnibus hearing. You've already pled not
I am
guilty.
here by special visitation to see to it that you do not danger my natural living man's name.
Are you prepared
That's
to
why
tell
I'm
the
here.
court if you wish to go to trial on this matter?
This is a trial. Tell
No,
me it's
this
not.
isn't a trial.
Here's my
This is
jury
an
of my
omnibus
peers.
hearing, sir.
You cannot produce a jury of my peers because all juries are selected from a pool of registered voters, and the instant a person registers to vote, their natural ability as a peer to comprehend natural law has been dissolved and turned into fiction. There cannot be raised a jury of my peers. It cannot be done.
Excuse me for just a moment.
No way. Get back here and finish this. Hey, get back here and finish this. The judge has left the courtroom. There you go.
Yeah.
There is nobody in this courtroom.
Yeah.
The judge has
Yeah.
walked out.
Judge is walked down.
I
Everybody up
said
and
no
out.
excuse.
Everybody up and out.
I'm not letting
Up and out. Up and out. Up and out. Follow the man. Case dismissed.
Thank you.
Man of the court.
Hang around. Let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's go. Don't dally. Let's go. Get it. Get it. Get it. Get it. I don't know. Come on. Where's the driver? We can see.
Now, let's unload all that harmful information in your head.
Where are we going to? Excuse me?
Oh yeah, what? What's happening? I distract like colour with these raps I holler. Ever since the day I was detached from my mother, Dabbler got drowned in a Botswana wildebeest. That's the man, Yana man, salute the sun, feel released. Kill the beats like the beast of dumb peace. It's the one that these adolescents aggy up the streets. It's gonna cost them each.
Have you ever wanted to write a book? Have you ever wanted to write a screenplay? Have you ever wanted to have your great movie idea turned into a screenplay, turned into a movie, turned into a book, and distributed all over the world? Well, now you can learn how to do it with the great new book by Ronald, How to Write a Screenplay in 30 Days or Less. It includes the logline, theme, synopsis, outline, and screenplay of the three magic questions. Learn how to write a screenplay in 30 days or less, or your money back. Get it today at Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ronald Show, teaching you how to be a creditor in commerce. That's right, I've changed the tagline, and it's really going to be more about now. Instead of documenting the collapse of life as we know it as perpetrated by the global military-industrial complex, which I think most of you already realize is happening. The collapse of life as we know it. We used to live abundantly in this planet, but now we don't. There wasn't so much poison being put into all of our food and our water and minds. So what I'm doing now is I'm focusing on the solution, which is going to be teaching you how to be a creditor in commerce, which will be talking about how you can reclaim control of your life certificate of birth, meaning your human vessel, so that you can't be arrested and taken to jail. I'm going to be teaching you how to regain control of your property, meaning no one will be able to tow your car or take your motorcycle or your boat, because you'll have the manufacturer's statement of origin. And once you hold that, you have control over the property. And also I'll be teaching you how to keep your real estate, your land, how to control that by getting the grant deed from the county recorder's office, so you can come off the tax assessor's list. Now, what I have is, I have an entire presentation about how to be a creditor in commerce, which is what I'm going to be teaching you, which you'll be learning how to reclaim control over all of those things that you want to control. And if we all control all of those things, then that will take power out of the hands of the people who are perpetrating the collapse of life as we know it. And the final step, the answer, once everybody has control of their vessel, their body, their property, and their land, will be to collapse the global military-industrial complex. The global military-industrial complex, meaning that the entire world will tear up their social security cards or national ID cards, and then there won't be any more accounts through which to process money, which is a fiat man-made object that only represents debt. It represents debt. So what we'll be doing is we'll be collapsing all of those accounts. Then there won't be a monetary system, and you'll have control over everything because you'll hold grant title, grant deed, manufacturer statement of origin, and life certificate of birth. And we will be controllers, not the small population, the 1% of those government politicians, military police that are, doing what they're doing to human beings around the world, which is controlling. I talked to a lady from China today. She cut my hair, and she's fearful of ever speaking out against the government because in her country they kill you. They'll put you in a political prison and then torture you to death because they don't want anyone taking their power away. She warned me that I would be martyring myself to a certain degree by continuing to put out this information, but I don't know what else. I've already started down this path. I'm not going to turn around and, I don't know, I'd go get a job at Walmart or selling, stuff, or it's not going to happen. I'm me, I'm doing this, and so here we go. Let's start with creditors commerce information. Now, all of the information I'm giving you is completely from the creditorsincommerce.com website. Valuable information. I'm going to be spoon feeding you the edited version without all the ums and ahs and mks from the recording, which I've transcribed into text, and I will go through it and read it with you and explain it. So instead of it being a 4-hour lecture series for one class, I'm hoping to keep it around an hour, so each episode will be about 1 hour. Alright, so here we go, teaching you to be a creditor in commerce. And we'll be back and we'll start this right after this commercial. Alright, so peace.
Now available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble is Harry Johnson, Diary of a Gigolo Porn Star. The crazy adventure of a 1951-born male in Beaufort, Georgia with a 2-foot penis that grows to 3 feet. He goes on to become an international porn star after becoming a war hero in Vietnam. Get it today at Amazon or Barnes.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ronald Show, teaching you to be a creditor in commerce. Today is Wednesday, 9 May 2012, and let's get started on teaching you how to be a creditor in commerce now. Here we go. Alright, as I said before, this is from the creditorsincommerce.com link, and this is the Temple audio series from 2009. This is all very relevant information, and I'm going to teach you how the system is set up. I'm going to be reading from this document, so bear with me. I'm going to go as smoothly as possible, but I want you to understand this because it's very important. And if you want to hear all of the information that I'm going over, the 4-hour audio class,
then just go to the introductory class at the Temple Audio Series from 2009 at the Creditors in Commerce website. All right, let's get started. Now, the foundation for the inner workings of commerce is what we're going to talk about. And the entire global system of government and economics all operate in the system of commerce. So once you understand how things work, you can use procedures as creditors and operate as a creditor instead of a debtor. And now you're educated by the public school system to be a debtor at a very young age. It starts early on. This happens all the time. You are taught to be a debtor from the very beginning in school. So, what's the difference between a creditor and a debtor? Well, a creditor and a debtor differ in their actions within commerce. Let's go over law forms and jurisdictions. This will lay the foundation for your understanding. It's set up like a pyramid. Each successive law form falls within the law form before it, okay? At the top of the pyramid is natural law. At the top of the pyramid is natural law. That's that law form that makes it possible to be here. Your existence, creation itself, the physics of the universe, all come under natural law. The highest form on the pyramid starts up here. This is the top of the pyramid, natural law. That's the very top. Now, under natural law is commercial law, and that's any interactions between sovereign human beings. Sovereign beings. You are a human being. By nature, under natural law, you are a sovereign, free human being. The system that you're set up under admiralty law has put you into a debtor position. I'm going to teach you how to be a creditor instead of a debtor. You don't want to be a debtor. You want to be a creditor. Okay, so under natural law is commercial law, and that's any interaction between sovereign human beings. A sovereign is someone who has control over their property. Not someone who is in possession of property or who is an owner, but someone who actually controls the property. So, two sovereign entities have complete freedom to contract with each other in any way that they see fit. There's no oversight of their contract. If two individuals outside of any jurisdiction decide to contract between each other, that would be the area of commercial law. Okay, next under commercial law, third on the pyramid, so we have natural law, commercial law, and now common law. Common law is when a society or a group agrees on how to interact with each other. The United States, a society, has agreed on guidelines on how people interact with each other. This has nothing to do with admiralty law, commerce, or statutes. Common law is in general a group of people decided to operate under certain guidelines. All right? Now next is statutory law. Statutes. Statutes fall under statutory law. The U.S. has 52 titles of statutes in the U.S. Code. The tax code is Title 26 of the U.S. Code, which falls in the area of statutory law. The final law form and lowest on the pyramid is political law. If you play in a baseball league, let's say for example, you're under the laws of the baseball league in what you do on the ball field. There are no statutes in the U.S. Code that tell you how to play baseball. Baseball has its own group of laws which are under all of these. Okay, the baseball field may be in a public arena where statutory law prevails, even though the rules of baseball do not permit me to, say, break a statutory law such as intentionally harming someone. The statutory law governing the law that the field is in prevents me from doing such a thing, although the political law is there. The political law says you can't do something, but it is the lowest form of law. Most people operate in statutory law. U.S. citizens, U.S. corporations, and officers of U.S. corporations operate in statutory law, the lowest form. you'll find that the commercial law is really the most important, and that's where you get most of your power. A creditor in commerce operates in the highest form of law, which is commercial law. A creditor controls property. Controls property. And we're going to go over the difference between equitable title and controlling title. Now, Rockefeller said in the early 1900s during his antitrust ordeal, own nothing, control everything. Do you own a car? Do you own a car? Most people do. Actually, my car's in Florida, and I'm here in California, Hollywood, without a car. Don't need one. Great public transportation system. I walk a lot. In fact, I recommend that. Get rid of your car if you want to. Take public transportation. In Florida, it's a little hot, but in a state where there's not a lot of humidity and the temperature is reasonable, here in LA, I walk, bus, train, bicycle. In fact, I'm going to get an electric bicycle soon. That's going to be fun. All right, so Rockefeller said in the early 1900s during his antitrust ordeal, own nothing, control everything. Right? What does that mean? Own a car? If your car is paid for, you do own it. But you do not control the car. The state can take the car from you because the state controls it. Okay, so it's important to understand why the state controls it. So we'll go over titles. There are two types of title: equitable title and legal title. Equitable title is owner, operator, debtor's title. Owning your car means you have equitable title. You can sell it and make money from selling it, but you do not control the vehicle because you did not issue the title to the vehicle. The state issued the title and they gave you a certificate of title. That means they are holding the legal title to the car, not you. They hold the legal title, you hold the equitable title. Big difference. Legal title controls. The legal title to the car is the manufacturer's statement of origin, the MSO. That came from the dealership when you purchased the car. The MSO was sent to the state, or DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, when you purchased it. The MSO is the title. It's like the birth certificate to the vehicle. You sign paperwork that gives them power of attorney to the MSO to send the MSO to the state on your behalf. So you sign paperwork that gives them power of attorney to send the MSO to the state on your behalf. You unwittingly do this. You're kind of tricked into it. If you were purchasing the car and told them you were taking it to a foreign jurisdiction, they'll give you the MSO if you ask for it. But before you ask for the MSO, such an undertaking involves a procedure. You want to understand how to be a creditor. If you don't understand how to be a creditor, then you're not going to be a responsible human being. Understanding how to be a creditor involves a lot of responsibility. I'm going to teach you the information, but I can't help you be a creditor. You have to learn the information so you can help yourself. I'm not going to do things for you. I'm just putting out the information. So the person with legal title takes responsibility for their property. The person with legal title takes responsibility for their property. If you don't believe you can be a responsible person, then definitely go on living the same life you've been living and remain a debtor. No problem. If you want to be a responsible human being and gain control over your titles, then become a creditor and be responsible. So there's two types of jurisdictions that you live in, or that exist. You can live in one, operate in the other. Jurisdiction A, let's call that private, or the republic. That's where you're a sovereign human being, a sovereign. So we'll call jurisdiction A sovereign, private, republic. Let's call jurisdiction B the public, the democracy. That's where you're a debtor. So in jurisdiction B, you're a debtor. Bad debtor. That way you'll be able to remember it. A creditor. You want to be a creditor. Jurisdiction A creditor. Jurisdiction B, bad debtor. You don't want to be there. That's the democracy. You believe a democracy is all about freedom. Well, it is if you understand how to be a responsible creditor. But if you're an irresponsible debtor, then you're not so free. You're in debt. You're stressed out. You owe bills. You don't know how to control your property. Your car could be towed. You can be arrested. Your house can be taken away from you. It's happening. Many irresponsible people are living in the United States. There are 330 million people in the United States. I would say less than 10%, 30 million, are responsible sovereign creditors operating in the Republic in Jurisdiction A. Now, these are not official titles. They're just titles that I'm going to give them so that you can understand where you are and what we're talking about, so that it's relative to the situation. Okay, I'm going to give you some history when we get back. Stay tuned for this commercial. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching The Ronald Show, teaching you to be a creditor in commerce. Peace.
What if a government intelligence analyst from the Pentagon is forced to save mankind from extinction and the world from destruction, but first he must evolve into the Messiah and create the plan to save the world? The 21st century Messiah arrives, battles dark forces, and sparks the Armageddon that leads to the apocalypse, rapture, the 2012 pole shift, and extraterrestrial contact. Buy the book today by Ronald Farnham at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The Second Coming of the Messiah, Book 1, The Awakening.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to The Ronald Show, teaching you how to be a creditor in commerce. I'm your host, Ronald. Today is May 9th, 2012, and we are going to get right back into being a creditor in commerce. All right, I'm going to give you a little bit of history. I think it's important. Well, I don't think. It is. I know what you're thinking. I don't think. It takes a lot of thinking to do this, and really that's what I'm trying to teach you. Not trying, but that's what I am teaching you. In fact, take the word try out of your vocabulary. And I do my best to avoid the word try. I avoid the words would, should, and could as well. They add more power to my thinking and my speech. Remember, what you say is very powerful, so be careful of your words. Use them wisely. Now, I'm going to teach you history about the United States that you need to understand so that you understand how and why this situation is the way it is that we are living under, which is Admiralty law, and which has you bound as a debtor in commerce. And we're changing that. Some of you are going to become creditors and become responsible for everything that you own and have equitable and soon legal title over. When the United States was established in 1776, not 1789, with the Declaration of Independence, we established through the Articles of Confederation a republic. A republic is sovereign. Remember, that's Jurisdiction A. It controls its property. In 1782, with the end of the Revolutionary War, the national government went to the states and asked them to pay the resulting war debt that had been incurred by the national government. Now, with the creation of the national government in 1776, with the signing of the Articles of Confederation, the national government took on the debt of the Revolutionary War on behalf of the United States. Okay? The states in 1782 said they wouldn't pay the debt. So the national government was forced to form a constitution. The definition of a constitutor is one who creates a constitution. The definition of a constitutor is one who passes his debts to a third party. Read the Constitution and pay close attention to the preamble and Article 6, with words capitalized that are not supposed to be capitalized. In the preamble, it says to secure the blessings, capital B, of liberty, capital L. The Constitution itself is a security because the states wouldn't pay the debt. So they had to create a security. with sureties to back the debt so the national government could do business with other national governments. Period. No one will do business with you if you don't pay your debts or have a surety for your debts, a surety for your debts. Like when a 16-year-old wants to buy a car, he needs a surety, right? Or a co-signer to buy the vehicle from the dealership. The states signed on the Constitution as sureties, saying that they would back the debt of the United States. Therefore, in 1789, with the signing of and completion of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, a security instrument was created to which the United States debt was attached. Does that make sense? Do you understand? The Constitution isn't what you think it is. It's a surety for a debt. It's a negotiable instrument. The debt put us, this debt put the United States into international bankruptcy because we didn't pay the debt. Because we didn't pay the debt, the national government went to the UK, the King of England, who said he would pay our creditors. In exchange, they took legal title over the national government's property. So since 1789, the national government lost its sovereignty after being a republic for only 7 years. For 7 years, from 1782 to 1789, we were a republic, and we have not been ever since. Since we've been in international bankruptcy, but it doesn't end there with that first bankruptcy. The term of an international bankruptcy is 70 years. So, 70 years after 1789 is 1859, the Civil War. The reason for the Civil War was not slavery. Slavery was already in the process of being outlawed in the United States, as slavery had already been outlawed internationally. America was in the process of following suit, okay? This is where our education system has lied to the people. They want to keep you as a debtor. They don't want you understanding this information. That's why I'm teaching it to you, because that's why I came here, I think, on this earth to spread the truth.
What if a government intelligence analyst from the Pentagon is forced to save mankind from extinction and the world from destruction, but first he must evolve into the Messiah and create the plan to save the world? The 21st century Messiah arrives, battles dark forces, and sparks the Armageddon that leads to the apocalypse, rapture, the 2012 pole shift, and extraterrestrial contact. Buy the book today by Ronald at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The Second Coming of the Messiah, Book 1, The Awakening.
At the end of the bankruptcy, the debt was due. The debt is due. The states signed on as sureties on the Constitution saying they'd pay the debt, right? The King of England, through his bankers, and the Rothschilds Bank of France, said that the debt is due, and the states asked for their money. Subsequently, the northern states went to the southern states and said, hey, you guys have all the money. The cotton, gold, resources, wealth. The North asked the South for the money. The South said they would not pay the debt and that they were going to start their own country. So, that's why we had the Civil War. Because of their dishonor with the international bankers, it was now up to the will of the creditors to get the debt paid or take sureties for the debt. So the Civil War happens. At the end of the war, the states lost their sovereignty because they refused to pay the debt to the creditors, and another 70-year bankruptcy ensued. So in the first bankruptcy, they took the nation's sovereignty because the national government no longer controlled its property. They turned over the grant deeds as a surety. Remember, whoever owns legal title, or whoever holds legal title. Oh, someone's at the door.
Have you ever wanted to write a book? Have you ever wanted to write a screenplay? Have you ever wanted to have your great movie idea turned into a screenplay, turned into a movie, turned into a book, and distributed all over the world? Well, now you can learn how to do it with the great new book by Ronald, How to Write a Screenplay in 30 Days or Less. It includes the logline, theme, synopsis, outline, and screenplay of the 3 magic questions. Learn how to write a screenplay in 30 days or less, or your money back. Get it today at Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
Okay, I'm back. That was a visitor. That was Cam. He's doing a $24 million movie that may star Kevin Costner. I'm not sure what it's about. I think it's a Western. Anyway, so let's get back to what we were talking about now. Because of their dishonor with the international bankers, it was up to the will of the creditors to get the debt paid or take sureties for the debt. So the Civil War happened. At the end of the war, the states lost their sovereignty because they refused to pay the debt to the creditors, and another 70-year bankruptcy ensued. Okay? So in the first bankruptcy, they took the nation's sovereignty because the national government no longer controlled its property. Remember, whoever holds legal title controls the property. Now the states were in dishonor. And we'll go over honor and dishonor. So the international creditors took control of the states' property. So the states do not have sovereignty because they no longer control their property. That is what distinguishes a sovereign from a non-sovereign. A debtor is not sovereign. Creditor controls. Okay? Okay. I'm going to not say that word anymore. Okay. The War of 1812. Now, in 1791, Alexander Hamilton created the Bank of the United States, where the securities were being held. The international creditors, wanting a guarantee of payment, said, okay, you hold securities in the Bank of the U.S. and we're all good. The Bank of the U.S. had a 20-year charter. So in 1811, right before the War of 1812, Congress decided not to renew the charter. This angered the creditors, so they sent in their troops. The British troops came to American soil, went in and burned the White House, and took possession of all federal courts because that is where all the titles are. To take control of the titles, they took control of all the federal courts. As long as they controlled the property, that's all they cared about. After they burned the White House and took control of the property, the U.S. decided to renew the Bank of the U.S. and the troops left. Smart idea. So, in 1859, as a result of the second bankruptcy, the states lost their sovereignty, right? So that's the second bankruptcy. Now let's fast forward another 70 years, because remember, an international bankruptcy is 70 years, to 1929. At the 1909 Jekyll Island meeting, 20 years before 1929, the international bankers convened, wondering how to handle the debt that was due in 20 years because they didn't know how to pay it. In 1929, the stock market crashes. In 1929, the debt became due. Their solutions? The Federal Reserve Amendment and the Income Tax Amendment. They came up with the Federal Reserve System and the tax collectors. Now, I was raised Catholic. I'm not really religious in the dogmatic sense, but part of this information does reference the Bible. Much of it does. Because, really, you'll learn through this that the Bible isn't some religious book. It's really about how to become a creditor in commerce. So, once I give you this information, it's going to change your mental paradigm a little bit, or a lot, and you'll see that the Bible is more than just the good book of religion about Jesus Christ and God and the creation and revelations and all that. In the Bible, the tax collectors for Rome were the people of the territories that the Romans controlled, not the Romans. So the tax collectors were not the Romans. They were people in the territory that the Romans controlled. The United States tax collectors are working for a foreign power, but they are U.S. citizens. The IRS is made up of U.S. citizens who are working for a foreign power. Income taxes do not pay for the operations of government. Taxes go to the creditors. Creditors get the tax. Do you understand that? Well, you will, because your tax money goes right back to you if you know how to fill out the right IRS forms, and you'll learn that. All right?
Now available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble is Harry Johnson, Diary of a Gigolo Porn Star. The crazy adventure of a 1951-born male in Beaufort, Georgia with a 2-foot penis that grows to 3 feet. He goes on to become an international porn star after becoming a war hero in Vietnam. Get it today at Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
In 1929, the bankruptcy is due, and we didn't pay. We went into another dishonor. The creditors for the Revolutionary War had been paid by the Rothschilds Bank of France, the Bank of Paris. So Rothschilds had a security interest in the national government. The only way the creditors have a security is through the Federal Reserve. The only way the creditors have a security is through the Federal Reserve. In 1929, the creditors had already taken the state's sovereignty, and they already had taken the nation's sovereignty. Therefore, in 1929, they now took your sovereignty, the people's sovereignty. They demonstrated by confiscating all gold and silver and by confiscation of all legal title. Up until 1933, you could hold legal title on your property, called allodial title. If you purchased it with gold, it was yours. You had control of the property. But now, because the people are in dishonor and the people are bankrupt, they no longer control their property. Allodial title is legal and equitable title. It is one title and gives you control, which you no longer have. But you can regain, and you will learn how to do so. Everything has been set up the way it is for your benefit. When you understand how to be a creditor in that system, in the system that you're living in, you will see how powerful it is. Our old system of law, being in the Republic, being under common law, and the execution of law, was not a good place to be. It was destructive. Admiralty law, which is what we are under now, the governing of vessels, is good. It has grace and mercy, and you'll learn why. Remember, I've been bad-mouthing the government for a year. I've been studying this information now on how to be a creditor in commerce, and it's changed my perspective too. We're not fighting a battle. Remember, I've been saying turn the other cheek. Well, we'll be able to silently and quietly and peacefully do so. We can start regaining control of our vessel, our title, and our land. And then we can tear up our Social Security cards and National ID cards and just get rid of the whole system. We are the majority, the 99%. The 1% is just pushing the buttons, and we are blind, ignorant sheep doing what they tell us. There's no reason for it to be that way anymore. That's why I'm giving you this information. Now, if you control the property, you have legal title, whether you have the document or not, and you are a sovereign, and the property is sovereign. If you take your grant deed and accept it for value and return it to the county, then your property will be removed from the assessor's parcel numbering system, and there is no longer a property tax on the property because it comes off of the grid. If you do that, then you must be responsible for the property. That means bonding for sewage, police department, fire department, and any benefits and privileges that your property receives now you become responsible for. You were paying property taxes because the county took responsibility for those things. Common law is now admiralty law. When you're not subject to anything except by volunteering and agreement, then which is what the situation is, you are not subject to anything except by volunteering and by agreement. When you lost your sovereignty and your ability to pay your bills, you were given something in exchange. And anytime they take something from you, they must give you something of equal or greater value, otherwise they are committing a crime. What they gave you in 1933 was that everyone in jurisdiction A now has an exemption. So A, is the good, a creditor. So in 1933, everyone in jurisdiction A now has an exemption. You are a creditor. From the perspective of jurisdiction B, you are a debtor. So to clarify that, we're going to examine trusts. Okay, so when we get back from this commercial, we will go over trusts. Okay, we'll be right back.
What if a government intelligence analyst from the Pentagon is forced to save mankind from extinction and the world from destruction, but first he must evolve into the Messiah and create the plan to save the world? The 21st century Messiah arrives, battles dark forces, and sparks the Armageddon that leads to the apocalypse. Rapture, the 2012 Pole Shift, and Extraterrestrial Contact. Buy the book today by Ronald Farnham at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The Second Coming of the Messiah, Book 1, The Awakening.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Ronald Show, teaching you to be a creditor in commerce. And now we are going to go over trusts. Today is 9 May 2012, and I can tell already by the smile on my face that you are happy because you're finally getting to see the bigger picture. As far as a trust goes, there are public trusts and private trusts. A trust has 4 parts: the grantor, the trustee, the beneficiary, and the res, R-E-S, or corpus. That's the thing of the trust, or the property. In 1933, they took your title to your land and the ability to pay your debts with real money. They also took title to your body, vessel, through the certificate of title called a birth certificate, which is the title to your body, B-E-R-T-H. You can take legal title to your body back. They did this to give you a benefit. Based on their perspective, you are irresponsible people. If you want to be irresponsible, they're going to let you be so. But they put you in this trust so that they control your irresponsible slaves on the plantation. We're all slaves on a global plantation, and they control you. If you're going to be irresponsible, they're going to let you be irresponsible. And this information I'm giving you is only for people that are willing to be responsible. I'm learning to be responsible. I'm going to take control over my life certificate of birth, the manufacturer's statement of origin, the grant deed on my property, the grant deeds on all of my properties, really, the warehouses, my house, my sister's house, my mother's house, everything. We're going to come off the grid. We can bond for those things ourselves. My mom stresses out over paying property taxes every year. She doesn't know how to control it. Well, we're going to learn how to file a 1099-A form or a 1099 OID form, original issue discount form, and regain control over her land. And we'll go over that in future episodes. But in the meantime, let's continue. Okay, a private trust. Now remember, a trust has 4 parts: the trustee, the beneficiary, the grantor, and the res, or corpus. A private trust. In the private trust, a grantor is living men and women. A trustee is a foreign situs trust that is created and evidenced by the birth certificate. So a private trust has been created by your life certificate of birth. A foreign situs trust is established with your birth certificate. Foreign meaning foreign to the jurisdiction B, foreign to the democracy. So you, the human being living in jurisdiction A, outside of the democracy, are the human. In order for them to create a government on top of a government, they first had to recognize the people in jurisdiction A, saying, hey, you're the source of all the energy and production, so we need to have a legal identity for you in jurisdiction A, saying you are the source of all the energy and production. And so they created a legal entity. All right, so they needed a legal entity for you in the in jurisdiction A, the private or the republic. They created a legal entity that you call, or we call, the Foreign Situs Trust, and that's trustee. A foreign situs trust is foreign from jurisdiction B, the democracy. It's an entity that is foreign from the democracy. It's a legal identity that is your birth certificate in upper and lower case. It is a separate legal entity from the U.S. citizen that gets created also. Beneficiaries of the private trust are the public trust, public entities, the government, U.S. citizens, and corporations. So your U.S. citizen can be the beneficiary of your private trust. A public trust. A public trust has a grant. The grantor of a public trust is a position that kind of weighs. It's someone that steps in to be the grantor. Trustees can be public officials, judges, attorneys, governments, any kind of agents of any kind. Beneficiaries, which are the debtors, are the people. The benefit is what you get from the corporations doing things for you. The public trust is the government and a mere reflection of the private trust. The trustee controls the trust. The duties of the trustee are determined by the grantor. If the grantor creates the trust, then the trustee controls the trust. So you want to understand trusts from that perspective, okay? You are born into the world, and the law form of operation in your world right now is admiralty law, maritime law, which can be commercial law and common law. We are in admiralty law because it's the superior law form and has grace and mercy, which I said before. Common law is execution of the law. In the Bible, in Genesis, God gives Adam and Eve the law in the non-commercial zone. Everything is yours. There's no commercial transactions. There's no payment. You take what you take and you give what you give, God tells Adam and Eve. Admiralty falls into the commercial or common law because common law is admiralty, which is the law of vessels. We are all vessels. In 1753, Lord Mansfield made admiralty law the common law. In order for you to operate in admiralty, you must be given a birth into admiralty. In that birth, your mother fills out the application for a birth certificate. She filled out the application and they approved you. Even though it is spelled B-I-R-T-H, it is still the same meaning. If they spelled it with an E, B-E-R-T-H, they'd be giving it away, wouldn't they? So you get a birth certificate, which is your foreign situs trust, which allows you, the human being, to do commerce in the democracy. It's what gives you the ability to operate with all the other vessels. If your vessel doesn't have a birth in commerce, then your vessel cannot interact with other vessels. This vessel is foreign to jurisdiction B, the democracy. Your human body is not a corporation, it's your body. It doesn't belong in the corporate world. So your birth certificate gives you the ability to do commerce. In 1859, the corporation was established and claimed to have benefits and privileges for their members, the U.S. citizens. They offered you these benefits and privileges, which came in the form of Social Security, social insurance contracts. When you signed on for social insurance, you said, yes, I will take these benefits and privileges. This created another trust, a Cesti trust. And you can look it up on Wikipedia. It's spelled C-E-S-T-I space Q-U-E space trust, which is an implied trust, which gives you benefits and privileges to interact with other trusts and be a debtor in the United States, so you do not have to pay. You can operate in commerce. One benefit is that you can serve jail time to pay your debts. In common law, there's no debtor's prison. In commerce, in admiralty, there is debtor's prison. So when you go to jail, that's how you're paying your debt. And remember, you, the human being, are just serving for the commercial debtor. In common law, vice commercial law, if you owe a debt through common law, you can be forced to work off the debt. That is how common law works. It is the execution of law. We, however, use commercial law, admiralty. The Garden of Eden was a non-commercial zone. There was no money. When Adam and Eve broke the law, God told them before they broke the law, if you touch the fruit, you will surely die. Here is the restriction, and here is the punishment. Did God kill Adam and Eve when they touched the fruit? No. When they touched the fruit, God switched to, he switched laws on them. He switched to admiralty, grace and mercy. Although he said he was going to kill Adam and Eve, instead he went into a commercial law form. They were no longer in law of the land. In this form, you can discharge your debts, putting them off into the future. Adam and Eve put on fig leaves and said they paid with fig leaves, and God said, no, no, no. Creditor determines the money. So if you don't pay your debt, you're in bankruptcy. Adam and Eve were given ability to discharge, which doesn't eliminate the debt. It puts it off into the future, into a future time. The creditor, God, said, the money will be the blood of animals, the sacrifice of animals. That's how you will pay your debt to me. And they were given ability to discharge, and they moved into the commercial zone. From that point until Jesus, they operated under discharge. Jesus came up with a new concept, or at least those who wrote their religion based on him did. The concept was prepayment. Now, you've heard Jesus died for your sins. Well, sins are debts. He prepaid your debt. Now debts are put off into the future. They are prepaid. It is agreed that the debt is already paid. This might be confusing for you. Just continue to listen. With this system of new law comes redemption. You have read, of course, of redemption in the New Testament. This is commercial redemption. What they gave you with this New Testament, this new contract, execution of the law was no longer in operation. They gave you redemption. Operation in commercial zone is where there is prepayment of all debts. Remember, in 1933, they can't take something from you unless they give you something of equal or greater value in return. What they gave you was the ability to set off your debts. The debts are now prepaid. Everything in society is prepaid. Money comes from your signature. Your signature creates all the money. Since all corporations are dead things, they are all vessels with all capital names. Let me repeat that. Money comes from your signature. Your signature is the only thing that creates money, because you, the human being, signs. You were given prepayment. You have an account with worth a lot of money. You can sign for anything. Money comes from your signature. That bears repeating. Your signature creates all money. Since all corporations are dead things, they are all vessels with capital names, with all capital names. Anything with a name in all capital letters is a vessel. All corporations are vessels. They are dead. They do not have the ability to create money. Only you do. When you sign a promissory note for the house, for your house, you create money. Those funds go straight into an escrow account. You actually paid for the house. The bank doesn't tell you that. When you know as a creditor how to interact with the IRS, you can discharge that debt. It is discharged. There is no debt. You paid for it. They tricked you into a new contract which says, I will pay you money even though I just paid you all the money with my signature. The wisdom in that system is that if you are a debtor, you will have to work harder and harder. The system is a balance. If everyone was responsible and everyone was a creditor, then there would be no money. You would all walk around and sign names and pay for things. The fact is, there are debtors and people who refuse to take responsibility. And in that system, you can't tell debtors, hey, this is how things work, and then go tell creditors, okay, this is really how things work. It's just assumed that you are all debtors. Alright, so that's enough for now. Thanks for watching the Ronald Show, teaching you how to be a creditor in commerce. I'll see you on the next episode, and we'll go into this even more. Alright? Alright, peace.
Now available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble is Harry Johnson, Diary of a Gigolo Porn Star. The crazy adventure of a 1951-born male in Beaufort, Georgia with a 2-foot penis that grows to 3 feet. He goes on to become an international porn star after becoming a war hero in Vietnam. Get it today at Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
The host of the Ronald Show